Okay, we need to talk about what everyone saw at the Grammys but isn't really discussing. The stage design. Those red and orange circles looked almost identical to an Ozempic commercial. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you look at the dramatic transformations on that red carpet, it feels bigger than that. This isn't just about losing weight. It's about how far Hollywood is willing to go. And by the end of this countdown, you'll see why people are seriously concerned. Kelly Osbourne stepped onto the Grammy red carpet carrying far more than just designer glam. She was carrying grief. Attending alongside her family to honor her late father's legacy, the moment should have been about music and remembrance. Instead, within minutes, the conversation online shifted. Fans immediately noticed how dramatically thinner she looked. Her jawline appeared sharper, her cheeks more sculpted, her frame noticeably smaller than even a year ago. Social media moved fast, with Ozempic face trending almost instantly. Side-by-side comparisons flooded timelines, and speculation took over. Kelly has consistently denied using weight loss medication, crediting lifestyle changes after health concerns following her pregnancy. But context matters. She lost her father just months before this appearance. Grief alone can change a person physically in ways people don't always understand. What made this moment uncomfortable wasn't the transformation itself. It was how quickly compassion disappeared. Instead of focusing on her honoring her dad, the internet focused on her body. And that says more about Hollywood and us than it does about Kelly. Sharon Osbourne walked the Grammy red carpet at 73 years old with the kind of composure only decades in the spotlight can teach you. She was there to honor her late husband's legacy, standing tall in an elegant black gown. But just like with Kelly, the internet quickly shifted its focus. Viewers couldn't stop talking about how noticeably slimmer she looked. Her frame appeared extremely lean, her facial structure sharper, her overall presence more fragile than fans remembered. Unlike many celebrities, Sharon hasn't hidden her experience. She's openly admitted to using Ozempic and losing over 40 pounds, even saying the weight loss went further than she expected. She's also spoken about stepping away from fillers and Botox, claiming she's done chasing cosmetic tweaks. But context matters here too. She lost her husband of more than 4 decades. At her age, rapid weight loss naturally looks more dramatic. What should have been a night centered on remembrance became another conversation about appearance, and that shift says a lot about Hollywood's priorities. Lady Gaga arrived at the Grammys in dramatic fashion, wearing a dark, feathered gown that felt gothic, powerful, and unmistakably Gaga. As always, she commanded attention. But alongside the praise for her wins and performance, another conversation quietly took over online. Fans noticed she appeared significantly leaner than in recent years. Her frame looked slimmer, her silhouette more angular. Yet at the same time, her cheeks appeared lifted and full, creating a contrast that people found hard to ignore. Typically, noticeable weight loss also reduces facial volume. Seeing a sharper jawline paired with rounded, sculpted cheeks led to speculation about cosmetic enhancements like fillers or contouring procedures. What made it more striking was how restrained her expressions seemed compared to her famously animated persona. Gaga has always used her face as part of her performance art. This time, some viewers described a slightly taut, almost porcelain-like quality. She still looked stunning, but undeniably different. And when someone known for embracing individuality begins reflecting industry beauty trends, it raises bigger questions about pressure behind the scenes. Kesha arrived at the Grammys dressed like a modern-day goddess, wearing a flowing white feathered gown that symbolized rebirth and freedom. After years of legal battles and public struggles, this was supposed to be her victory lap, a celebration of reclaiming her voice and her career. Visually, the message was powerful, but online, the focus quickly shifted. Fans began commenting that her face looked unusually stiff during interviews and red carpet photos. Her smile seemed limited, her forehead barely moved, and her expressions felt more restrained than people were used to seeing from her vibrant personality. Speculation about Botox or recent injectables surfaced almost immediately. The irony wasn't lost on viewers. Kesha spoke openly about wanting her outside to reflect her inner freedom. Yet some felt her appearance looked controlled, almost frozen. Whether that perception was fair or not, it highlighted something deeper even after fighting so hard for autonomy. The pressure to maintain a certain aesthetic in Hollywood never really disappears. Reba McEntire took the Grammy stage during the In Memoriam segment, delivering one of the night's most emotional performances. At 70 years old, she looked polished, radiant, and almost impossibly youthful. Viewers immediately pointed out how smooth her skin appeared, how defined her jawline looked, and how tight her neck seemed under the stage lights. For someone in her 70s, the transformation felt striking. Beauty commentators quickly speculated about subtle surgical work, possibly a lower facelift or fat grafting to maintain facial volume. The result wasn't frozen or exaggerated. It was refined, controlled, and carefully maintained. Reba has long emphasized professional skincare and has historically said she avoids Botox, wanting to preserve natural expression while performing. But her appearance sparked a bigger conversation. In Hollywood, aging gracefully no longer seems to be enough. The expectation now is to barely age at all. Reba looked incredible, there's no denying that. Yet the pressure to sustain that level of agelessness decade after decade reflects an industry that quietly moves the goalposts for women as they grow older. When Nikki Glaser stepped onto the Grammy stage as a presenter, fans who had just seen her at the Golden Globes weeks earlier immediately noticed something different. At the Globes, she had a lean, sharply defined look. But at the Grammys, her face appeared noticeably fuller, especially around the cheeks. The contrast was subtle, but in Hollywood, subtle changes never go unnoticed. Social media quickly filled with side-by-side comparisons, with beauty commentators speculating about fresh fillers or recent injectables. When facial volume shifts that quickly while the body remains slim, people tend to assume cosmetic tweaks rather than natural change. Nikki has openly joked in the past about Hollywood's obsession with weight loss drugs and cosmetic procedures, even poking fun at Ozempic during awards season. That irony wasn't lost on viewers. The woman who joked about the industry's beauty shortcuts suddenly became part of the conversation. Whether it was lighting, timing, or cosmetic maintenance, the moment highlighted how fast appearances are dissected and how impossible it is to avoid scrutiny in Hollywood. Sabrina Carpenter walked into the Grammys as one of the night's brightest young stars, earning multiple nominations and stepping confidently into a major career moment. At just 26, this should have been a celebration of momentum and success. And yet, much of the online conversation centered on her face. Viewers quickly commented that her expressions appeared more restrained than usual. Her forehead looked completely smooth, her eyebrows held a high, arched position, and her once animated smile seemed slightly muted. For someone known for bubbly interviews and expressive reactions, the difference felt noticeable to fans. Speculation about Botox or fillers surfaced almost immediately. In Hollywood, even subtle changes spark intense analysis, especially when it comes to young female artists. The idea that someone in their mid-20s might already feel pressure to maintain or refine their appearance struck a nerve. Sabrina hasn't addressed any cosmetic rumors, and she doesn't owe anyone an explanation. But the reaction to her look revealed something bigger: how quickly the industry pushes even its youngest stars toward an impossible standard of perfection. Madison Beer arrived at the Grammys with the kind of poised confidence you'd expect from someone who grew up in the social media spotlight. Wearing a sleek black gown, she looked polished and camera-ready. But almost instantly, side-by-side comparisons started circulating online. Fans pointed out that her frame appeared noticeably slimmer than in recent months. Her waist looked more defined, her jawline sharper, and her overall silhouette more sculpted. At the same time, her cheeks still appeared full and lifted a contrast that sparked speculation. Typically, when someone loses visible body weight, facial volume shifts too. That paradox is what caught people's attention. Beauty forums began dissecting photos, suggesting possible contouring procedures or subtle injectables. Madison hasn't addressed any of it publicly. Instead, she focused on the event and her music. What made this conversation different was the social media factor. Madison built much of her career online, where every angle is analyzed in high definition. The pressure to maintain a flawless image in that environment is relentless, and it shows how perfection has become part of the job description. Jelly Roll was one of the night's biggest winners, and not just because of the trophy in his hands. When he stepped onto the Grammy stage, fans immediately noticed how dramatically different he looked. At his heaviest, he had openly admitted to weighing over 500 pounds. By this year's ceremony, he appeared nearly half that size, standing in a tailored suit with a visibly leaner frame and a completely redefined face. What makes his transformation stand out is the transparency. Jelly Roll has spoken candidly about battling food addiction, going to therapy, changing his diet, and committing to consistent exercise. He said he wanted to live longer for his kids to be present, healthy, and active. No shortcuts, no secret injections, just discipline and support. In a night filled with speculation about quick fixes, his journey felt grounded and real. Instead of chasing an industry standard, he focused on survival and longevity. His transformation wasn't about looking perfect, it was about staying alive, and that difference mattered. When Post Malone stepped onto the Grammy stage, fans genuinely did a double-take. For years, he was known for a softer, heavier build and a laid-back, party-heavy lifestyle he openly talked about. But this time, he looked dramatically leaner. His face appeared sharper, his jawline more defined, and the puffiness people associated with him seemed completely gone. Even his stage presence felt lighter, more agile. Reports suggested he lost around 50 to 60 pounds, and according to Post, the change came down to one major lifestyle shift, cutting out soda and improving his overall habits. Still, in an era where rapid transformations automatically spark suspicion, social media immediately questioned whether there was more behind it. What made his case stand out was how much the conversation overshadowed his actual performance. Instead of focusing on the music, timelines filled with before and after comparisons. His transformation became the headline. And that says something bigger about where we are culturally. We've become so conditioned to analyze celebrity bodies that even a health-focused change turns into speculation before celebration. Justin Bieber's Grammy performance was meant to feel raw and vulnerable. Stripped down, minimal styling, just him and the music. But within seconds of him stepping on stage, the internet locked onto something else entirely: his hairline. For years, fans have noticed signs of thinning around his temples. He's often worn hats or kept his hair styled forward, which only fueled speculation. At this year's ceremony, though, his hairline appeared noticeably fuller and straighter, with short, dense hairs framing the front in a way that looked freshly defined. Social media immediately began circulating close-ups, with some users suggesting it resembled a recent hair transplant. Hair restoration experts online weighed in, pointing out that newly transplanted follicles can create that slightly uniform, too perfect edge while they're still growing in. Justin hasn't confirmed anything. But what stood out wasn't just the speculation, it was how fast the conversation turned mocking. Instead of focusing on his performance, much of the attention centered on his appearance. And that moment underscored something important. Even male superstars aren't immune to Hollywood's relentless image pressure. Hollywood's beauty standards were never designed to be realistic. They change constantly, and chasing them is exhausting. You don't have to look like a celebrity to matter. Your worth isn't defined by your weight, your age, or your face. It goes deeper than that. But after everything we saw at this year's Grammys, do you think the pressure has gone too far? And which transformation actually hit you the hardest?